Hey guys, and welcome to Startup Productivity in Personal Life 9. My name is Ska, and this is my blog. And I have some bad news. So I've recorded a video, well, a version of this 2 days early. And just like last week, I tried to record both a podcast video. What happened was that podcast audio came out great. Like really, really amazing. And that's wonderful. But my guest hosting maxed out, so I wasn't able to upload it anyway. Even got some extra. Again, I wasn't able to upload it anyway. My podcast host using SoundCloud and maxed it, and I don't have a system set up to do RSS feed. Thought essays blog. Thought essays is kind of a blog that podcast. So that's one bad news. One part of the bad. The other part is that last time I forgot to mic when recording, and I tried to synchronize the audio and together, but it didn't really work right because I guess maybe happening on my computer or some whatever. But there was a hiccup. There were a few hiccups. If you watch it on YouTube, it's not watch the actual video. When you try to synchronize the audio, it kind of falls out of sync. And I just didn't have the time nor processing power on the computer. Go ahead and actually. Today I'm gonna try to run through this real quick. It's probably gonna be like a video. I'm not gonna go into it was exhausting. I'm trying to fix this for the last utterly failing. And again, I don't have a lot of knowledge of video. Much. But let's talk about. So I guess let me share some tips and apps. I've been using a lot of Pocket. Pocket is like a read it later bookmarking service where it keeps a queue of stuff that you read later. I'm really bad with it. Really long. At one point I think 300 articles, but it's pretty neat. It'll sync with your phone. That's pretty neat, especially it'll sync your location. The next thing I would like to mention, let's encrypt. Encrypt is free SSL cert. And I just set it up for my main website and it's working pretty well. I also set it up for my writing blog, Thought Essay. It's pretty neat. It wasn't too difficult. I highly recommend it if you sell and the SEO value of it. Before I get to the tip, I want to also mention Evernote, because I haven't found one that matches it. I mean, I know there are some editors that are probably just as good. They came out, and as far as a tip, like one of my the life cycle of reevaluate. Just so do something, you retrospective about what you learn from it, then you use your process, and it's an amazing way. So last week I did a huge task cleanup. I did upload the last episode of podcast, but I'm so mad that I looked at the pro account of my host, so I'm gonna have to self-host it at some point. I haven't had time for that. I'm not gonna have to. I'm gonna have to kind of enjoy doing podcasts. I'm much better at mixing audio than video. I spent several months built in or pause, and I'm much more comfortable with a video editor, and my computer is much more. I also got CodeMirror set up, fully functional. On Omen, and it works really well. Omen is pretty much it. I finished chapter 3 of the book, and I started several articles. Let's talk about my writing. And again, if I'm going through this a little bit too, because I've recorded this before so tired from having to fix it. But so chapter 3, there are a few things that happen in chapter. Start getting a hang of the character. There are a few things that I noticed. She doesn't have much. She is very curious, and I'm just kind of learning about her as a character. And I think that's helping me write the rest of the story naturally. One thing I also wanted to mention is that I realized that pace of progression, whatever it is for the draft, once I start editing, expand some parts and parts. So I think that that's a really good tip. Don't worry about the pace of progression. It's gonna be something to fix in. I want to talk about last minute NaNoWriMo prep. So one thing I did want to mention is I have a few. I'm going to be taking. I'm not. This I'm probably not going to post today. Or sorry, I'm not going to. But NaNoWriMo starts. There are a few things I wanted to do as last step. Number one, I wanted to create a backlog of names. One thing I keep running into character name built out. I don't know cities. I don't have setting. Keeping things up the I can't just pick a character pool and going. That's a stopper for me. I just want to do a project setup where I can have word count, automatic clearing, and saving between scenes and stuff. And last minute world. I also want to talk about chapter stubbing. Chapter stubbing, I kind of got this idea from programming where stubbing is the idea of mocking out what you want to do, and it doesn't really have the functionality, but it's still used in some way. To me, in writing, that kind of means like having a summary, but also like having a boil down all the scenes to like, very specific, important parts that have a chapter, then being able to write the chapter. Kind of like plotting it out, but these are kind of like more ideas and flowing through, like summaries that you flow through rather than. Okay. So let's do an example. Chapter 4, stubbing. Happened several weeks later after chapter 3. Lene overhears a peculiar discussion on framing students when cleaning the bar. So she's cleaning the bar. She was at this bar in chapter 3, cleaning it, and here's a discussion of students were ill and become part of the servant class. So why servants? So the servant are lower class, and how come? So the idea was that the Assassin's Guild has like 5 or 6 factions. They're all supposed to be completely equal. The servant are like lower class. How come they're considered low? So Amir explained, and that kind of starts putting perspective about the frame. So as she's like leaving the bar or whatever, They runs into her old friends who run after her, and she hides in their record library. And used to hiding a lot, and in that record library, she finds this file that starts to raise questions. How come servant? What happened? How did he get? And what about her own file? But that's basically the idea of stubbing. 2 sentences to describe to me. I like the idea of writing scenes rather than chapters. So like each one of this would be a scene. Next week, NaNoWriMo, clean desk, chapter stubbing, and I've already started. Already a little bit into the started a bit of NaNoWriMo prep. It's pretty horrendous, but it's not too bad. And I am taking it. But let's talk about Omen. Like I said, I got CodeMirror working, and it's glorious. There are still some issues around performance. Not used to writing. I don't know how CodeMirror works, but it works and it looks great, and I'm able to use Omen as a text editor. But there are a few things that come up for me as far. So what's keeping me from using it all the time? Use it as my primary text editor. What is it that keeps me doing that? And before I get to that, I want to mention that the fact that I itself keeps a constant feedback. That I implement a feature, I start using it, I use this text a lot, I try, and that gives me this constant loop. What do I need to improve? What's there are a lot of editor necessities that are about, like a control S binding. Whenever I want to save, I have to one, and I realize just I'm pressing control. Also, autosave would be amazing. Having a rough copy save crash file. So, Vim and Emacs, they create a work in progress file when they start editing, and they constantly save to it, so that when the editor crashes, you have something to recover from. I don't have that right now. Awesome. And not just because of the crashing, but sometimes you close out and you forget to save. And speaking of which, that's the kind of notification. Try to close out or change files or whatever. You need to save them. It should give you, hey, like, you're going to lose progress. There are a few things that I realized that I need to add to Omen. I'm not going to be able to add NaNoWriMo start. But speaking of which, let's talk about the essentials. I feel like Control S, autosave, and create file are the I added the create file functionality, I think, yesterday. I started looking to S and auto-saving, so we'll see how that goes and have that implemented in this editor. But, you know, every week I talk about my progress, I talk about where I also talk about. Let's go through that. So that feedback loop that I talked about is kind of based on scientific method. Plan that you viewed initially. It is like a hypothesis. Basically, you know, I have certain knowledge, I have this idea of what might be. I'm gonna go ahead and test this idea. Doing it, experiment. When you evaluate, you're done with the experiment, you look through the data, you're looking at what's happening. What do I need to change about my hypothesis for it to actually work? In this case, you're basically incorporating that feedback. You're gonna keep repeating this better each. So, you know, you can see that by week 9, a lot of things have changed in the way I'm doing projects. One of them is that I break down tasks a lot more. I don't give my crap if I miss stuff. And I try to keep reasonable goals on the incremental fixing and updating things. One of the things I also mentioned was that chapter writing and word count writing or word count tracking is really difficult. Agile environment, something like that I kind of learned from. And the thing I wanted to talk about was knowing yourself. So that's part of the feedback loop. I found out my productive day. Today is Friday. Hopefully I'm gonna upload this YouTube video as soon as I'm done with it. Look at the microphone right there, and it is recording. Very happy with it. But those are my most productive days. Monday, Tuesday, not that great. Weekends, I get nothing done. And my best reset day is Wednesday. So Wednesday is like a good day for me. Go ahead and look back what I want to do next, because that way I get to plan for Thursday. Excuse me. But most productive times are for me early morning and late night. I do well in the afternoon or midday. It was great learning these things because it also set up the expectation. It's okay if I don't get anything done on Monday or Tuesday, because I'm used to it. I have a Thursday and Friday that are really productive. Used to that makes sense. So knowing myself helped me a lot with productivity and also good about myself. I would just highly encourage that for everyone, whoever is watching this. If you want to some productivity, agile environment, whatever, make sure to look back and learn from what you learn about yourself, learn about the problem, incorporate that into your integration. And that's it for this week. So I'm just almost 15 minutes. It's not a lot of time. Video, and I apologize for that. The original video was like this long, so I cut out about 10 minutes. But at least I got the video done. At least I'm uploading it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have uploaded it at all. It's really mad. Maybe I need recording software. I don't know. I would really maybe like to transition this because I don't really show off a lot of stuff. I have my bullet points and everything, but you know, I can easily make a show for the podcast instead. And that's what might happen. All of that. Thank you for watching. Thank Thank you for listening. And should we try not to post a video next week? I'll do that again, but we'll see what happens.